He didn't go to the women and say, "Duh, duh, 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 duh," because this is not men. This is not what men do. Men talk to each other and say, "Here's your game plan. Go execute it. You got a problem. I'm gonna tell you how to fix the problem. Now it's your problem to go fix. I'm not gonna go. I'm not gonna go to the problem and fight with the problem. You you that's your problem over there, bro. I'm gonna tell you how to fix it. That's what men do.
So what do you do? He said you're 100% correct. In reality, without guns, unfortunately, our temperate or temperament as a culture and willingness to use guns is our downfall. But he says the men that you're talking about in these groups, they got big guns and they'll shoot you for no reason. He told me he ain't trying to make no enemies. And
Well,
what do you
see,
say to that, babe? Like, what do you
I'm
say?
this is easy. This is
Okay,
easy.
okay.
Here's how you do this. The reason why it's so important to listen to what Jesus taught is because he tells you how to talk to these men. He tells you how. You don't go in there pumping your chest and say, "You better listen. You better listen to me." You know what you go in there and do? You go in there as a humble man,
Mm-hmm.
not as a scared man. That's completely different. You don't go in there being fearful. You go in there with your head held high, and you walk in there and say, "Hey man, hey, let's sit down and have a real talk, bro. Bro, you said you was going through this, right? You the one who told me you was going through this. I'm not here to say whether you right or wrong. I'm here to help you find a solution. Talk to them as if you are their brother. Talk to them as if you were their friend. Talk to them as if you were their father. Don't talk to them as if y'all trying to box each other. Don't talk to them as if you're trying to get into it. Men, you have to start learning how to talk to each other like men and not like you want to fight. And now sometimes, no matter what you do, some of them will want to, but you will see that men will tone down their temperament and tone down their aggression when they see that you're talking to them as if you're actually intellectually trying to change their lives. Because a
Yeah.
lot of men actually need this. A lot of men actually needs another man to tell them, "Hey bro, you know you are more than just the dollar that you make at work. You know you more than just the car that you drive. I'm gonna tell you how to fix your relationship, bro. I'm gonna tell you. I'm gonna tell you. You need to start saying, "Hey, this is what I need to do. Put your foot down." But you don't got to put your foot down in a way where it's my way or the highway. Talk to men as if you're actually trying to give them intellect and not talk to men as if you run their household. Don't talk to men as if you pay their bills. That's the
Mhm.
issue that men run into. Men run into the issue of trying to combat with each other because he like, "I pay my own bills, bro. You don't pay my bills for me." No one
I
said that.
think I think I think they combat with each other because the men speaking are not speaking from a place of like solid truth because we have so much moral relativism where it's just like whatever you believe and whatever I believe is okay. And there's so much like everything is right. Everyone gets a trophy. But when you come to a person and you speak from a place of truth,
Yeah.
normally the outcomes are a lot more sane, because he's talking about speaking to people from a distance with a microphone. Because I mean, there is parameters that you have to put in place, especially with like all of the recent events where people are not able to speak about their beliefs and stuff. But I really do think that we have to, as people, not just as men, but just as people, stand for what we believe in a way that is courageous, because through that we can say, okay, I understand your perspective. This is my perspective, and can we come to a common agreement? But I think, as far as Broken Berlin, the thing is, you got to really understand who you're surrounding yourself with, right, Malik? Like,
Yeah.
because if you have ignorant friends or you're in ignorant, circles, and then you're trying to speak life into them, you can't pour, fresh wine into old wineskins. They don't have the capacity to hold it. And so
Hmm.
sometimes you have to separate yourself. If your own hand is killing you, cut it off. If it's corrupting you, you have to cut it off. You really have to, distance yourself from things that are poisonous to you. And
Yeah.
especially today, especially
Yeah.
today.
Yeah. And I, I want to give you this point. let me give you this point real quick. This is from Psalm 51, verse 10. It says, "Create in me a pure heart, O God, and renew a steadfast spirit within me." This is a very, very important verse to me, and I think it should be a very, very important verse to men. Not just men, but I'm speaking to men. This is the reason why I'm saying this. And the reason is because, man, we have to start checking ourselves. Check ourselves and really look at, where is my heart at? Where where do I have my commitment at? Who am I committed to? Am I committed to self, or am I committed to God?
Mm.
Because you find that if you are committed to yourself as a man, I promise you, 10 times out of 10, you will fail. 10 times out of 10, you will fall. 10 times out of 10, you might not get back up. But I
Yeah.
promise you, if you commit to God, you will find, even when you fall, you'll get back up. Even when you stumble, you'll get back up. Even when you climb to new heights, you'll climb higher. Even when you get to the next level, you'll go beyond that in multitudes. Not because God doesn't add, he multiplies. And the
Right.
reason he multiplies is because he likes to give you such an abundance that you can divide it up. That's the reason why God multiplies, because he wants you to divide it up. Because when you multiply something, it's easy to divide it up, versus if you add something, it's a lot harder to want to subtract that little dollar if you only add instead of
Yeah.
multiplying. You know what I mean? And I think that men have to understand that we need to start repenting and renewing our mind. We need to start repenting and renewing our mind. Seriously, we really need to do that. Like he just said, we can't pour out fresh wine into
He was
old
talking
wine.
about the analogy I said earlier.
Oh yeah, 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 exactly. We have to understand that anything that's old, you gotta throw that out. Man, if you are a man who has experienced an abundance of lust in your life, throw it out. Go
Mm.
ahead and take it and throw it out. Because you're never going to be able to get the wife you say you want. You're never going to be able to get the family you say you want until you throw out that old self, that old cup, that old wine. It's time to start something fresh and new
Mm.
before it's too late. Because once it's too late, that door is shut and it's not ever going to be back open.
But I have another question. So
Yeah.
let's rewind back to the place where we're talking about sexual desire, even within spiritual covenant, right?
Yeah.
And in that, my question is, because men can still be led astray here too. And when I say that, I mean, why do you think that men don't consider female satisfaction? Because let's just say we do the thing, we get married, we're in love, we're happy, right? And we're having sinless relations. That's what we're gonna call it, sinless relations, right? And then we get to the point where it's like, okay, you have to think of me. And sometimes I've heard this. I've even heard, like, when we look at statistics of sexless marriages and stuff, it's very common, where people go months without relations just because women control that a lot of times, and men feel as though women are being spiteful, like, oh, she don't want to give me no because she mad or because of this or because of that. But what if the answer is that men don't really consider women and their satisfactions enough?
Okay. So what's your question
Why
is?
do you think that men, even when they are in covenant, why are they kind of sexually selfish? Because let's just say he's trying to do the right thing, so he gets married and he sticks with one woman, but then even then he still expresses like that conquering mentality, or that like selfish mentality of like, it's about my sexual desires. You know what I'm saying? Because even within covenant, you can still express that same lustful desire and lack of empathy for your wife, you know?
Well, you want me to be honest?
Yeah. Of course. No, don't lie to me today.
Well, if I'm being honest on this specific question, a lot of times I find that honestly it's not on the men. If I'm being honest,
Please explain. Please
the
explain.
reason is because what are we talking about right now?
We're,
Lust.
yeah, we're talking
We're
about
talking
lust.
about lust, right?
Mhm.
And what we find is men who do the right thing and they say, I'm gonna get married and I'm gonna stick to my woman.
Mhm.
We find, like, which is why we said at the beginning, men are not the only ones that are lustful.
Okay.
So what we find is women start to say, what about me? Because why?
What about her in the
No,
realm?
no, no. What I'm getting at is we start to find women are starting to say, it's actually very ironic. Men before they get married, they're the lustful ones. But what I find is men who do commit and sit down and say, this is who I'm sticking with, this is my rock. I find that the woman is the one that starts to open up the book of lust.
What you
I'm
said,
serious.
you said that within in marriage you can't have
Yes.
lust.
No, no,
Is
I
that what
didn't
you
say you.
said?
No, no, I said no, no. What I said earlier, I said you can't lust your wife. You can't. You shouldn't lust. You shouldn't lust after your wife. Like you shouldn't, because I told you, looking at your wife as if she's an object is wrong.
Mm-hmm.
So you shouldn't lust after anything, because lusting is you're trying to consume it. You're trying to have a consumption of it and use it up and throw away its resources.
So are you saying that women try to use their husband up and then throw throw him away?
No, no, what I'm saying is they start to open up their minds outside of their husbands, which is why they're putting expectations on their husbands to say, what about this? Or what about that? What about this? What about that? And then it's like, now I don't like that no more. I want you to do this. And then you start to open up a book of Pandora's box of now she wants to introduce this. Now she wants to introduce that. Now she wants to introduce this. And he's like, I just like normal, regular stuff.
So do you find do you find that like okay, when we have this conversation, we go through statistics, right? And statistics show that women complain about, this subject more than men when it comes to marriage, right? And that's
Mhm.
why we lead to women not being as like sexually inclined as they were prior to, right?
Yeah.
But to say this is because the woman's desires change,
Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
But okay, we're gonna rewind back to before they got married. Okay, women
Oh,
before they
you
got
see?
married. I'm not jumping. I'm gonna tie it together. I'm not jumping. So
Okay.
before they got married, it was like hot and heavy, right? Everything was great, and then there's the ring, and then it's like, oh, we're secure. Everybody's secure now. Like we ain't gotta perform. Oh dang, I just put myself in a circle because I think I just proved what you were saying.
Exactly. Exactly.
I got to prove what you were saying. So
You just
you saying the woman just says, that's it. I did my job. I'm done. I can,
exactly.
I can see that. I
And
can
then
see
she
that.
opens up Pandora's box, which is why she started to get mad. And men be like, I don't know what happened. At the beginning, she was like this, and now she like this. And they
Yeah.
like, you see what I'm saying? And this proves
Mhm.
my point that not just men and women are lustful creatures, both of them.
Yeah.
They just experience them differently. So
Yeah.
women think that it's only men, and men think that it's their right. This is the issue you have. Men think it's their right to be lustful, and women don't think that they do it at all. And
Okay.
this is why you have the bumping of
The
heads,
bumping of heads, yeah.
because both people are delusional.
Yeah, both people are in their own. Well, both people are selfish, right? When we're talking about this, we're talking about self and self desires, right? And of course, this subject is about men, but in general, people are selfish, and so we just can conclude that as what it is.
Yes.
There's a selfishness there. Okay, so let's take it back to the Bible, right? Since God is a just God, right? We
Mhm.
understand that.
Yes.
Is there a leniency to men's sexual desires in comparison to women's? And I say this because I'm asking this because men, like you said in the first question, men's desires are almost biological, right? Like there's a higher testosterone, the makeup is different, so therefore men desire more than women, or maybe just express it more. I'm not sure, but is there a leniency based on how men are created? Is there
There's
like he's a man, so it's going to be
Yeah,
different,
yeah. So basically, what you're asking is, I'm gonna just give it straightforward.
right?
What you're asking is basically, are men not judged as harshly in this
Right,
aspect?
right. Yes,
That's
yes,
what
yes.
you're asking.
Yeah.
No, no. It
Okay.
literally tells you in Romans, from one man, sin has entered the world.
Hmm.
It says from a man. It
From
doesn't
Adam.
say, it's from Adam. It doesn't say from a woman.
Yeah, that's
It
true.
says because of one man, sin has entered the earth. Sin has entered the world. So men are not judged less because of their design. Men are actually held to a higher standard because they are the headship. And because we are the headship, we actually are looked at first.
Kind of like how teachers are judged harsher
Exactly,
based on their position.
which is why you're told that teachers, not everyone can be one. Not
Mhm.
everyone should be a pastor. Not everyone should be a priest. Not everyone should be a teacher because you're going to be looked at differently. Why? Because you have the people's ear, you have the people's heart, and you have the people's mind. And if you are steering people away from God, I promise you, tomorrow, next week, or at the end of times, you are going to answer to God for that. So, back to your question, no, men are not judged any less because of our design. We are actually held to a higher standard because of this, which is why, and I'm glad you said this. The reason why you see men in the manosphere and in red pill, you know, trying to say that this is not true and say this is natural is because they want to continue to do these things. So they're using examples from the Bible to try to prove that they're right. They say, well, see, this is our design because these men in the Bible had multiple wives. So this is right,
Mm.
right? That's what they're saying. Not understanding that there's two sides to the Bible. And a lot of men don't understand this and they take it out of context and they're misleading people, which is why you shouldn't be a teacher because you're misleading people. There's two sides to the Bible. There's prescriptive and there's descriptive. And these two in reading the Bible are very, 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 very important. What is what is prescriptive? Prescriptive is going to be your commands and your demands and your no ifs, ands, or buts.
Mhm.
God said, do this, and I must do this or else. God said, this is the way and the only way. Do you understand?
Mhm.
Descriptive is a record, a description, a recording. They were in Jerusalem at this time and period. That is descriptive. That is a example. That is a point and period of time to explain to you, to give you an insight of where this took place. When they say Solomon had this many concubines, this is not a prescriptive to say this is a command that all men should have multiple wives. God never says
I don't get
give.
how they do that. Like how they even get that from that.
They don't understand prescriptive and descriptive. There's not one command in the Bible that tells you as a man you should have multiple wives. It's not a commandment. So stop trying to say that this is law, this is natural, this is what we're supposed to do. No, these are examples. And how do we know these are examples? Because every single man who did this, they either fail, they either made God angry, or they lost their way and they had to find their way back. these are examples of what not to do, actually.
Mm-hmm.
What not to do. King David, one of the considered the holiest man in the Bible, almost lost his way because of his lust for women. So much so that he tried to hide it. And what you're not understanding, man, is there's not one thing on this earth that we can hide from God. Not one.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's omnipresent. So if you try to hide, he sees you. If you try to put a blanket over it, he sees you. If you try to tell a little white lie, he sees you. So for us to try to pretend like it didn't happen is crazy because he knew it happened. He knows that it happened. So King David, one of the holiest men to ever exist, fell and almost lost his way and almost lost God's favor because of what he did in his lust of women. This is an example. It's descriptive. It's a description of men. Do not do this because you will lose your way. You
Mm-hmm.
will, you will forget about the one and only true God when you lust because you start to think I could do it by myself. You start to think, well, I got some money, so this is me now.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I was successful at being married for 20 years, so now I want to explore something else. That's me now. Well, I don't want to get married to one woman. I want to get married to five. That's me now. When you start to think me, you're now putting yourself in a position to say, I am God. When you start to make up your own rules and say, well, I can do this because pretty much I said so, or I can do this because I think this is what this means, you're now putting yourself in a position to say you're God, which you are 110% wrong.
So, is in our nature a way to avoid accountability?
Yes, 100%. Yeah, yeah. To say something, to say, well, lust is in our nature, is one, avoiding accountability, and two, it's honestly just to make people mad. You're saying it's in our nature because you know it's gonna make
It's
women mad.
rage
Like, what?
bait. It's rage baiting.
Yeah, exactly. What?
Telling
Yeah,
you
that's
this
right.
is not
It's in our nature. It's in our nature to be lustful. It's in our nature. It's
yeah.
actually like it's almost like indoctrinating. It's like let's tell women that it's in our nature to be lustful. So when we do it, we will say, we how many years we've been telling y'all this is what men do? How many years we've
Yeah,
been telling you?
I seen a podcast of I didn't watch it. I seen a clip of, and this was a long time ago. It was Summer Walker's podcast, and I think she was talking to Sexy Red, and she said, "You just gotta accept men gonna just cheat. It's never gonna be a relationship you in and men aren't gonna cheat. Like it's just gonna happen. So just settle with it, take it in, whatever the case may be, right?" I didn't watch the full thing, but I thought that was so interesting, not because not because of who was speaking it, right?
Yeah,
It didn't matter to me that it came from them because that's their brand, that's kind of what they're on. But on the contrary, a lot of women think like this. A
exactly.
lot
That's what it
a
says. The
lot of
mind.
women, yeah, a lot of women think that I'm never going to get married, I'm not going to have children, I'm not going to ever rely on a man because they're going to it's kind of the same thing. I know this is a different topic, but it's kind of the same thing where men say, I'm never going to get married, I'm never going to have kids, I'm never going to do this because the child support and she's going to take me for all I got. Same thing. It's like almost like told that it's unavoidable. Like you just said, indoctrination. Like I'm going to tell you this is gonna happen. No matter how
Yeah,
much you pray, no matter how much you believe, no matter how much you think, like even as Christians, oh, we believe marriage is this good thing. Marriage is this covenant that you make up before God, the only promise that we really can give the Lord, right? So death do us part. And we say these things and we believe these things in our heart, but still at the same time, we're almost like serving two masters because we believe in God's just and his grace and his mercy and his gloriousness. We agree and believe that. And then in the same instance, we agree and believe in the fact that it's gonna fail
yeah,
because most fail, you know?
yep.
And it's sad because generations after us will be so far gone when it comes to the concept of marriage,
Of
right? Not
marriage.
even like
Yes.
doing it. but just
Yep.
even perceiving that this is something I should want. This is something that I should do. You know, like how we were watching that video earlier when the guy was explaining the dinosaurs, and it's like those micro seeds that are planted early on. And then you see generations pass to where
Exactly.
marriage won't even be in the conversation anymore.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Because you'll forget about it because
Yeah.
you're what you're doing is you're planting a seed to be individuals. What we're seeing with Red Pill and the Manosphere and on the women's side, I don't know what they call it over there, but what you're seeing is a seed being planted in indoctrination of individuality.
Mhm.
Men, y'all stay on one side, women, y'all stay on one side. Stop being with each other and just go on about your day. And you start to see people have less babies. You start to see the population decrease. You start to see more control. You start to see people lose their minds because I'll tell you the truth. I have never seen a crazy man who got a good wife, and I've never seen a crazy woman who got a good husband.
That's on being equally yoked.
And that's because these two things together keep each other sane. When the husband is falling apart, he go home to his wife, he can feel whole again. When the wife is falling apart and she go home to her husband, or he come home and she see him, she's whole again. It keeps you sane. It keeps you from falling apart. It keeps you from overthinking. It keeps you from hitting the brick wall. It keeps you from spazzing out. It keeps you grounded. It keeps you equally yoked. It keeps you with God.
Mm-hmm.
This
Mm-hmm.
is the reason why he says that for man, it is not good for him to be alone. And so when he made Eve, he said, this is very good because these two joint together, when they're together, they're creating, even if it's just those two, they're creating a ministry together. They're
And even
creating,
when he says, when two are in my, or when two are amongst each other, I'm in their presence. It makes it to
exactly,
where you can always be, or God can always be in your presence. You know,
exactly.
like you said, it's a ministry, it's a representation of not only God's love, but a representation of what it takes, like the overcoming and the perseverance and the trials, and also having faith that no matter what, we come out of this on top. God is faithful. God is just. God is true to what He says. And when you make a commitment till death do us part, that's what He intends you to do. And so, seeing that finish line, or seeing people constantly asking those questions of what does it take to have this long marriage, or what does it take to get all these years under our belt, you know, and no one really has that solid answer of what it is. But I think that even though we are younger in marriage, I think that we've already found that answer, which is faithfulness in God,
Yep.
having the faith that, because once you believe something and you truly believe it, nothing can deter your belief. So
Nope.
anything that we come against because of our belief, you know,
Exactly.
is something.
Because what can you do to a person or to a married couple that no matter what you do to them, they'll say, I'm good no matter what.
We coming out on top no matter what.
No matter what. You know why? Because no matter what, Jesus still rose.
Mm-hmm.
So no matter what you say or do, he still rose.
That's
And
right.
because he rose, what can you do to a person? What can you do to a married couple who says Jesus has risen? What can you do to them?
Nothing.
Because even if you go to the extreme, all they're going to say to you, all we're going to say to you, all I'm going to say to you, all my wife is going to say to you is, we're gonna rise too. So
Because that's how we serve. Yeah, absolutely.
you can't do anything to a married couple like this. You can't do anything to an individual like this that truly believes and truly knows that he's risen.
And that's why I think like a lot of people have made this cliche, right? Where it's like God is at the foundation, or God has to be at the head of your marriage or your relationship. Like God has to be here. So they think that taking a video of you and the person praying at night is like God is in the middle of our relationship. And it's like, no, baby. It's
That's not what it
so it's so much deeper than that.
is.